What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another SLA video. All right, guys, new weapon, new testing. Let's talk about the results and show you a little bit of the actual weapon in action and why it may be worth or not worth having. And I'll tell you guys what we did all across the board. We did a lot of good testing here, and I'm really happy about it. So a couple of things to note. First off, the weapon I did get to A10. We did do our summons. I used only black tickets, and I think I did about 1,000 some odd summons, but we did get it to A10, and we pushed the weapon all the way over to 120 and pushed it to 110. But we did all of the testing from A0, A3 to A5 just to make sure everything is working and there are no bugs. Now, before I even begin with this video, guys, I want to remind everybody, content creator program is still going on. Go check it out. Hit that support button. Get yourself some codes, guys. It's simple. Click that support, log in, and then I'll send you some codes every single day. You guys will get the codes, and you guys can use those codes once on your account. If you're a new supporter, new codes are coming your way. If you're an existing supporter, brand new missions are being put out, and I can give you guys brand new codes as well very, very soon. All right, so click that support button. Now, back to the weapon. Let's talk a little bit about our findings and what we did here, okay? So first off, one thing to note here, I want to make this absolutely clear. The isolation buff, all right, when you equip the wolf blessing stone, the wolf assassin blessing stone, when you equip that, this isolation buff applies to all skills and weapons. All right, I made this discovery during the testing. This does not say this only applies to the weapon. This increased damage dealt by 30% and increased critical hit damage by 30% infinite actually applies to all weapons at all times. Okay, so make sure you understand that whether it's weapon skills, whether it's regular skills, whether it's QTEs, it doesn't matter. All of your damage dealt will be increased by 30%, and your increased hit damage, critical hit damage, will also be increased by 30%. So A0, right away, you're getting a pretty nifty buff by just equipping yourself with that actual blessing stone. All right. I want to get that out of the way because a lot of people are going to ask that question, and I want to make sure that we understand where we're at with that, okay? Now, A1, what happens here is whenever you use a water skill, your power gauge will increase because at A0, when you use your skill, it consumes your power gauge at 30% or more. Now, when you have 30% or more of the power gauge, you can also attack 3 times. So A1 is actually almost a necessity to get yourself to that 30% mark so you can cast a skill 3 times. And again, if you don't have the power gauge at 30%, you won't be able to cast it 3 times and only cast 1 time, okay? So that's important to note. Also, at the same time, when you get it to A1, you're also going to do Silver Mark here, which will do the White Wolf's Knight, and it increases the damage by 55%, plus you get super armor, okay? So super, super important, A1. A3, even more important. Now, this will actually give you guys the power gauge at 50%. You can start off with the 3 attacks right away. You'll see this. We've tested it. It works. Plus, the increased critical hit rate of Wolf Shadow and Wolf Echoes or White Wolf's Knight will be by 15%, and the critical hit damage by 40%, lasting for 3 seconds. This is a crazy good buff and absolutely worthwhile using. And it will, again, applies to only the skills here, okay? Just so you guys are aware, this is not the same as Isolation, where that applies to all skills and weapons. This only applies to the weapon skill, Wolf Shadow, Wolf's Echo, and White Wolf's Knight. Very, very important to remember that. And then, of course, A5, it just doubles the numbers, 25, 80% instead, plus all water damage here does 80% as well, too. Plus, Silver Mark will do now double stacking. Now, the weapon. Let's talk a little bit about the weapon. Instead of giving you guys just, my thoughts, I'm going to give you guys my numbers. Okay, that's going to matter a lot more. And we were all here for that. So go check out the live stream if you want to see the full thing. We did the full testing. So first thing we tested was no blessing stone versus with a blessing stone. Does isolation actually work? And yes, it does. So at A0 Winterfang with no blessings, these were the numbers after doing it for quite a bit of time. And then with the Winterfang blessing stone, we went up to 958, which we never got close to with 735 without the blessing. So isolation absolutely does work, and it will definitely apply to all your skills. Even further down here, you guys can see we did blessing stone testing. Skills without isolation, 1.72 million with annihilation, 673 with no crit. Again, we did this multiple times. And then here with no crit, it was 857 with the blessing stone and 2.46 million with the crit. Okay, so 100% isolation does work for everything, just so we're aware. So now we go to A3. We went from A0 to A3. Okay, we did A1 testing as well too. Wasn't that big of a deal. We just wanted to make sure that the skill worked as intended, and it did. So all of your water attacks did give you guys more power gauge, okay? Now at A3, we compared it to an A10 staff just to kind of see what the damage looked like. So the A3 did 6.24 million Winterfang with crits. The staff did 13.8 with crit, a staff as well. This is without any support weapons, okay? So you guys can see A3 still did fairly well versus A10, but still nowhere near. The staff is still much more superior in damage. So then we did A5 versus A10 staff, 8.74 million with 60% crits for A5, 11.34 with all crits, and then the staff still did 13.8 million. Now, what we did instead is we did A10 versus A10. The numbers were a little bit closer. Okay, this is non-crits, by the way, non-crits. Okay, A10 versus A10. Now what we did is we used Winterfang as a support with isolation, both equipped, which is the staff and that. Okay, so the staff with the Winterfang support weapon with 30% extra damage and 30% extra crit damage did 28.9 million with crit versus the 13.8, and no crit was 11.94, so closer to that number. So you guys can see it almost tripled in numbers, right, for the staff. This is Winterfang as a support weapon. All right, now we talked about the blessing testing, right? Now we're going to talk about the best sub weapons. So with the Grimoire, this is a better choice for hunter content. Okay, so you like SJW does 14.58 million minimum, did up to 20.19 million minimum. Okay, so you guys can see the numbers are fairly low in comparison. Now with true Kasaka Venom Fangs, this is better for SJW solo content, and this is a free-to-play weapon, right? So some of you guys may have this, some of you may not. So the numbers were at 20.64 minimum, which is higher than the maximum with the Grimoire, and did 25.05. Now the reason why this is the case is if you have a very good wolf right here, Wolf Assassin, you do more damage to bosses based on your Wolf Assassin. So a legendary one, for example, I think there's like 26 or 22% more damage. So that gets added on to it as well too, right? So not only are you getting isolation, but you're getting the Venom Fangs, but it's not the best support weapon. All right, we checked Scatty. Scatty was very mediocre in comparison. And then we did Moon Shadows. The problem with Moon Shadow is you need 3 stacks for it to really count. So it's 18 million per stack. It was, I think, 58 million after 3 stacks were applied. So it just takes a little bit longer. Still is viable. Plum Sword, too much diminishing returns. This is where it got really, really good. That's right. Stormbringer. That's right. So what we did here, I'm going to show you guys real quick. Stormbringer actually did provide us quite a bit of damage throughout the entire thing. So the reason why Stormbringer works so well is because Stormbringer allows us to get that extra, at A5 specifically, at that extra 3,200% damage or attack, right? And it was a lot better. So I'm going to show you guys my screen real quick here, right? You guys can see I'm recording the numbers here, 25. You'll see right here with Stormbringer that it actually ends up becoming better if you have one win skill and then just go right into the skill itself, right? So here, I'll show you guys real quick. You guys can see I'm running in. We cast Stormbringer. We let him finish the skill just right now. Stormbringer, 1 rotation, and then into the skills, 1, 2, 3, and then I stop and I record 30 million right there. And that was very consistent. That was very, very consistent. The 30 million started becoming more and more consistent. The reason why it became consistent is I let the boss do his full skill rotation, and then I just waited and then I cast it. You'll see the next one is going to be very similar as well in terms of rotation or in terms of numbers. So I'll show you guys real quick here so you guys have it, right? So here, watch. So now we switch it to the staff, I think, right? And we wanted to see if the staff is still better with the shorter fights, and it actually ends up being better. So you guys can see that's a non-crit, right? We'll do it again. And this time the staff will crit, I believe. On this one, bam, right there, 35 million, right? So if you look at the numbers again, right here, where are the numbers? Right here. So the staff did 35.5 million crit, while the highest crit with Winterfang was 30.7. This crits once, this has to crit numerous times, all right? So, but the difference, of course, is in a longer fight, that the Winterfang gives you 30% bonus damage plus 30% crit damage for all of your skills. So in a longer fight, we're talking about 4 minutes, etc., the Winterfang might actually perform really, really well because like you can see here, I did 1:45 worth of fighting here. The staff and the Stormbringer did 136 million. The Winterfang did 151 million with Stormbringer. Now, the reason why the numbers are so good is the staff relies on critting. If it doesn't crit, it only has 1 chance, you're kind of screwed, right? With the Winterfang, you crit very often because of the crit buff in Dusk and also for the extra bonus damage. So overall, guys, the Winterfang is a fantastic weapon. It's a good support weapon. It's a great DPS weapon. Is it the best weapon in the game? I don't think so. Too early to tell right now. But right now, I can tell you, if I were to choose between Stormbringer or Winterfang, I would definitely choose Stormbringer to A5 because of everything that it offers for all other weapons as well too. All right, guys, I hope this kind of gave you guys a general sense of how it works. I did want to show you guys a quick little bit of gameplay with this as well. So let me jump in and I'll show you guys how it works and I'll break it down for you as well, right? So you guys have a good idea on how the weapon is supposed to function. And here we go. We're going to jump in here. I'll put these on. I'll just show you guys. So right away, you're going to see I'm going to be a 50% power gauge, right? That's going to be visible right there. You can see the bottom. Now here, I'm going to cast Stormbringer. It's going to hit. And what you want to do is you want to do one of those casts and then start into your rotation, right there. Look at 3 of those hits instantly happen for 28 million. Now, If you don't have that power gauge at 30%, you only do one attack. Because we're at A3 and above, we get to do the full attacks. Now, one thing to note is you will lose your power gauge when you do that attack. So you need water weapons to boost your power gauge even further, okay? So very, very important. Now, if you were to use the Venom Kasaka Fangs, you want to do Venom Kasaka Fangs first and then cast your actual skills after the fact, okay? So we're going to do this again. Now watch my power gauge go down, watch. 1, 2, 3. See that? But it goes back up after the second hit. And we got all the rotations in there. So that's essentially how you want to play it. So Stormbringer is in fact the best support weapon. Long live the Stormbreaker. Plum Sword is gone. Stormbreaker absolutely at A5 is dominating everything, and it works with every single weapon. So if you have Stormbreaker and you want to go for this weapon, go for it. It's the best support for it. If you have Stormbreaker and the staff at A5 already, you may want to reconsider, but it's your choice. Longer fights with water weapon, this is going to dominate. I think Stormbringer plus this weapon together in Yogamon is going to be a deadly force combined and will help a lot of people beat hard mode. That's just my take on it. Whether you summon or not is up to you guys. Remember, you can't actually craft it right now. But overall, I think Stormbringer is way more important at the end of the day. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.